All right. All right. We are making video game today. I am cooking coffee. Today we will implement many skills, I think. I wonder where that document is. I made a document where I wrote down skills and spells like 100 years ago. There. No, don't use WordPad. Where the fuck is Notepad? There. Tons of things. Toronto. But this isn't the whole thing. This is like half. I had written for every character. I can make do without this, but it would be nice to know where I might have put it. This one. There it is. There it is. Hello, Maple. How's it going? Alright. I have the document. Now we can slap in some skills here. At least the ones that don't. I'm gonna put in as many as I can that don't need programming. Other than just programming the skill itself. Like some things will need to add new debuff types or whatnot. I'm programming a tactics RPG called Legends of Terrestria. Where you can move around like this with these characters. I'm a what developer? I don't give a fuck. All right. So where do we start? They're mostly spells here. Something we don't have is a spell placeholder. Like, I have a casting and stuff, but I don't actually have a spell. Fire Shaman. I should make a snippet for a skill. Let's take triple stab here. copy it over to, I don't know, and then we'll say skill name. I'm gonna leave that. Most of these things I feel can just stay. And we just change them. Hits will have one hit. The animation should be placeholder dot combat dot skills dot melee attack dot request animation. We use rend for every sound effect. It's the only sound effect I have almost. Initialize. Yeah, something like this is good. I think. Let's go make a snippet out of that. LOT skill. Combat skill. No, let's just call it skill data. Not like that. Let's see. Bloom. There. skill data. And we get skill name, get all of this. Still, fucking programmers. I bet there's no solution to that. Let's see. This is a basic skill. AP cost should be high. 4 maybe for him. Crushing. Hits. Which type? Crushing. How hard should it hit? It should hit relatively hard, I think. Hit shake. Smash enemy with your hammer. Or whatever he has. He has a mace or a warhammer right now, I think. Fefe. And then here it has a trigger. Bleed. I think it should bleed. But how did I think for him, I would say it's more important ability mod self. Oh, brain. Okay, so stability change. I want him to get stability from using this skill? Probably. And Now the question is... Stability is very experimental so far, so we'll see. I'm also not sure how stability should interact with, like, taking damage or not. Because there's a lot of ways to do it. Like, stability could just be like a bonus, like a flat bonus to your defense. Or it could literally be tied more to skill design, where it's like a skill might do like X amount of damage based on the enemy's stability, right? It can be both. And then there's the question, should you like regain one stability every turn for free? I think so. I think you should always gain one stability. And in that case, well, that doesn't necessarily make sense either. But maybe it does. But because the thing with that would be that using slower attacks would mean that you regain stability less often. Using faster attacks means you regain it more often, because you have more turns more often. And I think that's fine, actually. It would be fine. Oh, maybe. But it also means that reducing someone's stability by 1 potentially is either just keeping it at 0, like plus minus 0, or even just slowing it down from going to maximum. So if this guy has a slower attack, then he needs to do more with it when he uses it. And in fact, I think that this is still a fast attack. But this is what I wanted to find. Like, we have modify stability there. Like such. For self. Where do we do it on enemy? Target list, there. This is something the snippet should have in it. Let's see. Modify stability should not necessarily be on trigger, it should be on init. Do I do that here? Yes. So that's done on init, always. If there is a self mod, then it goes there, and then for attack mods, it goes here. Well, no. It goes here. The difference here is that this isn't really needed, because the attack itself only builds up 0, or it gives you 0 back. Or no, right now it gives you... No, it gives you 1 when you use the skill, but it gives you 0 when you hit. Hello, Chow Chow. Now the question is, should this hit twice, maybe? I think so. How my week been? My week's been alright. How's your week been? Except now my neighbor's dog is howling. That sounds good. Hope it continues. So let's add another attack. Let's make it do something like that. Alright, that's one skill. Then I need to restart this thing again because I changed the snippet a bit. What do we have next? Gonna do some PvP. It's the yearly PvP event where you get 100% more AP from anything involving PvP. You're a little PvP gremlin, aren't you? Always running around PvPing in WoW or in ESO. Next up is... this one is a little tricky. I'm not sure we'll do that one right now. I have a couple of skills here. Shield charge. But that one is weird, because then... I'm not sure how to do that. Here I'm saying can only be used after moving. But I don't have that programmed in a way. So we'd have to do stuff there. Head crack. That one is also stunning and stuff. But we can maybe implement it anyway. And we can implement half of it, just so it exists and does something. And then the hit should be kind of weak. How much does Smash do? Smash does 70 damage. It's quite significant. We can make it do like 50, maybe. Smashes the target head. If the target is staggered or staggered, or casting a spell, damage is increased. Damage is doubled. And what more? It needs to say and the target is stunned. Smashes the target's head for hits 0 dot strength plus damage. And this skill should not have any stability change. It shouldn't have stability change on the hit either, because being staggered or stunned should reduce your... I'm not sure. Stun should be 0. But I don't know if staggered should also be 0. Maybe. So, and then here we can check has condition. Then we can say if the target is casting, spellcasting state equals spellcasting state. Spellcasting state equals dupe. Really? Then we're gonna say apply damage. Here we're gonna say if has condition, then hits strength times 2, and the strength is int, yeah, else hits stage dot strength. Nah, let's not do this. If has condition, then we'll do that. It's just because there's gonna be more here. Stun the target. And a stun is gonna be, I think, a fixed amount of AP that you lose. So like, let's say your turn is 8 turns away, or 8 seconds away. Like, let's say your turn is 2 seconds away, and then you get staggered, so you get pushed back 5 seconds in the turn order. Now you're at 7 seconds. And then, from the stagger, you get stunned. What a stun should do, in my opinion, is your turn should progress, and then when it becomes your turn again, like, you can't get stunned or staggered once you have already been staggered, or like, if you've been staggered, you can't get staggered again. If you've been stunned, you can't get stunned again. Until it's gone. So when it becomes your turn again, you're going to lose the stun, but you're gonna lose like 5 seconds. Either that, or a stun is just like another delay that just pushes you back further. And then you count as stunned. I think that's better. Yeah, that's probably better. Because, yeah, it's less messy. I'll be right back. All right. Combat module there. So. Stagger. But this is bad. We don't have a reference. All right. Now, the question is, should a stagger be a uniform delay, or should it not? I think it should not. So we need a stagger here, and then we need to say if what should we call it? Like, there's stagger and there's stun. Public int. I would call it like stagger state, maybe. But I would make it an enum. Like that. And then here we're gonna say stagger. We're gonna say if stagger state equals none, then we'll stagger. And we're gonna say time index plus equals delay, and then recheck turn order, else nothing. And then we'll make another one that we'll call stun. If stagger state equals none, or stagger state equals staggered, then we can stun. But I think a stun should... I'm not sure. Let's just give it a value for now. Because otherwise it's gonna be your stun for 5 seconds every time. But it could be like a light stun or a heavy stun or whatever. Like that. And then we can go back here and we can say if has condition spellcasting state, then we're gonna stun for 5 seconds, maybe even 10. Maybe we make it 5. I'm not sure. What this means is that a stun is kind of just a worse stagger. But I think the ability to extend a delay is already powerful. And this could be stagger. Because instantly getting stunned before you get staggered is actually worse. So if this character can stagger or stun, depending on the state with the same skill, then we'll do this. If stagger state equals staggered, then we'll stun. Else we'll stagger. But then the question is how to formulate this. If the target is staggered or casting a spell, damage is doubled. If the target is staggered it's a little overcomplicated, but I think it's also fine. And if the target is staggered, it is stunned. Otherwise, it is staggered. So if this skill is purely for anti-spell casting, it would be so much easier to write this, because then it would just be straightforward for what happens if they're casting. But now, because I made it for if whether they're staggered or casting a spell, yeah, it could be 2 sections. If the target is casting a spell, damage is doubled, and the target is staggered. If the target is staggered, damage is doubled, and the target is stunned. But this is still... I feel like you have to do it the other way around here. You have to talk about the staggered first, and then the casting. Or you have to use really, really specific wording, because here it says if target is staggered, damage is doubled. So if this is first, where it says if the target is casting a spell, damage is doubled and the target is staggered. If it then continues and says if the target is staggered, then that's ambiguous whether it is referring to this stagger. Right? So becomes but I think that's better. It's a little long, but it's a test skill anyway, who cares? And this hits once for 50 damage, so this is also kind of important, but we'll also have to figure out what the values should be. I think 50 is too much, but we'll see. Low numbers, like I know a lot of developers have a hard-on for like low numbers, but low numbers aren't necessarily better, really. Because it makes each step be so much larger that it can make having variance hard. And it can become... just having, like, doing 1 damage also feels worse than doing 10 damage. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, there's a sweet spot where things feel better, in my opinion. Maybe it's just what I've been used to, but, like... when 1 is the norm, I feel like that somehow makes the game feel worse. Compared to if 10 was the norm. And there's no real reason for that. But to me it does. I don't really know why. For me, it's like... For some reason, it kind of makes it feel more like a board game or something, where it's just like minimalistic on purpose. And that's what it comes across as to me, and that's why I guess it feels a little almost immersion breaking. It feels like too much effort was put into reducing the numbers. But that's just me. It doesn't really matter. But I'd rather have values like 10 or something. But the issue is, like, if I want to do flat damage reduction, just mainly do flat damage reduction, which I might. Then you need to have values that make sense. It is, flat damage reduction is extremely hard to do. Because then we need to determine, like, how much slashing damage reduction should be, like, normal for plate armor. And what should be, like, how much slashing damage will people do? Because realistically, doing slashing damage on a plate armor doesn't do anything. Like, no matter what, in like any scenario ever, slashing will not work on plate. It also won't really work on chain, but you might break somebody's clavicle or something, for sure. Like, hitting somebody with a sword on chain, it's gonna break your sword, but you're also gonna break something in him. I've been into arguments with Kyle and Carlos a bunch of times about the Mordhau, when you hold the sword by the blade and hit somebody with the back of the sword. I think it's a retarded move. I think it's not really real. I think it's something that has become, like, more than it ever was. However, it does have, like, one use case, and that's if you're fighting somebody who has, like, chain, like, just partial plate mail. So they have, like, chain on their shoulders around here, you know, but they have a full plate helmet. Otherwise, they're fully armored, except that they're wearing chain or something similar that's not plate and is soft, but good against cuts. Then, if you do the Mordhau and you hit somebody, you probably will win with that move. Otherwise, it's retarded. Like, the Mordhau against plate mail, completely useless. Completely retarded. Hello, Skeevy, how's it going? But, yeah. I think something like this will be fine. But let's... let's add another skill. Skill data. Shield bash. There's another crushing. I don't know how hard it should hit for. It's a shield bash. It's not really that strong in that sense. I don't think it should even be used for damage that much, but it's still a hit, right? Like it's still gonna do damage. AP cost 4. Head crack I think should be a lot more expensive. This should be like a 6. He could maybe even have even more expensive skills than that, but we'll see. We'll just give him a slightly more expensive for now. Shield bash. Slams the target with your with his shield. Or hello Mythical, how's it going? Yeah, it's going good. I'm finally at the point where I can actually do things that are fun. We're adding skills right now. If the target is... Another question is like, what stability should they have to be at? If the target is at 1 stability, the target becomes staggered. But I want this to be self-comboable. So if this costs 4, then the target has to be staggered for 5. For 5 seconds. Got AC just before 40C heat. Oh shit. Wait, where are you? Aren't you like Romanian or something? I don't remember. You got 40 all the way down, or 40 there? Yep. Damn. I hope that does not come here. But we have, it's almost 30. That's bad enough. Dude, 40, I would be dead. Like, I've been struggling in 30. For real. I would have to sit in the shower or something. Go down into the basement. Well, glad you got your AC. Alright, so we need to do damage here. I feel like it should have a stability change. A negative stability change of 2. And then we're gonna see, say here, I mean, the shield slam could just be I don't know. We'll see if 5 stability steps is too little. But it should be fine. I don't really want it to be that much more. Like 10 would be too much, I think. Doesn't have that. Because I feel like the shield bash should modify stability, but if he's a regular attack bash modifies stability by 3, then can't really get much more than that. So what if we set this to 0, 3? Shouldn't those be constants? No. I mean, these are basically the constants. Like, I'm setting them here in the skill. This is its constructor. And these are things that could be modified, like this could be loaded in from a file or something, but I don't feel like it's necessary. That's just for modability, I guess. But even then, you can mod this. Modding C# and Unity code is actually pretty easy. It's just, I don't really know if I want to make the skill reduce stability by like everything, because if maximum is 5 and minimum is 1 and 0 is when you're stunned, right? Not sure. Well, I mean, they're not consts. They're just variables, but it wouldn't make any sense to have them be consts. This is just variables for the skill. Unless it was something specific you were referring to. Like I wouldn't have a file for like shield bash consts or something. There's no real reason to do that. I don't think that the shield bash should do bleeding. Ability modifier. No, I don't think we would do anything like that. I'm not sure where I would need that. If stability is greater than 1, then just gonna modify stability. Else we're gonna stagger. Or 5, I guess. Could do more damage too, I'm not sure. Whatever. Shields up. This is supposed to be like a shout, kind of, but I don't know if I want to implement that right now. Let's see. Shields up. AP cost 10. Target team. Ally. That doesn't work, by the way. Target types. Self. Range. I don't know how long the range should be. Maybe like 6. And AoE info. Very unfortunate. Limited by line of sight. Yeah. Origin size. Origin point. We then need a pattern. New bool. Then you need to write this some way. And I've forgotten how you do it. What? Oh, plusser. Spent 4 hours trying to fix a deletion bug in my text editor. Went to sleep, woke up, realized I was cooked and overcomplicating things. Solved the bug in 10 minutes. Yeah, that's how it works. That's why whenever you finish something, you go back and you look at it a bit later and you're like, this sucks. And then you fix it. Hopefully you don't have to rework that much. What was I gonna do? Yeah, right. So AoE info, find references. I don't know if I have a reference to it anymore. There. This is how you write it. Is it bitching though? Because there's... There. You ever had a dream of how to solve your code/bug? Yeah, I think so. Not that that was a fix that worked, but I think I have dreamt something like that. I don't like this solution. I feel like there needs to be a way to just... Like, if there is no size or no shape, then it should just be plus shaped. I really don't like that. So, new area of effect. Let's change this. The pattern... Well, it's a... It's an array, so it can be null. And... Then let's see, mouse controller. AoE info is used here. Check pattern collision. But that means I need to generate a pattern, I think. Maybe. There should be a math solution, kind of. But maybe just generating one would be easier. And this as well. Structs. AoE origin size. This needs to be like this. Maybe that was better. But then center point size needs to be like that. And then pattern center point. Also, that's going to generate a bunch of errors, I think. So basically, AoEs have like a bool array that determines its pattern. Just in case something has an unorthodox AoE pattern, right? But if there's something that's like self-targeted, or there's something like an AoE that's based on from the character, like 6 out from the character, then we can't do, like we shouldn't have something like that, because what if another character uses the same skill but it's like a different size? then it needs to be a completely different skill. Now, in reality, this skill is actually only ever used by this character, but I still don't like that it's like that. And here it's center point size. So here what I want to say is if main controller dot action to trigger dot AoE info dot center point size equals null, center point size equals vector 3int 0. And then we're gonna say, if it's null, then we're gonna say center point size equals main controller dot current turn dot unit dot data module dot size dot value dot size tile size. And then here, this should be like that. But otherwise, this should be an else, and then it should say center point size equals that. Why are there no error things? No issues found. Fuck off. not a huge fan of this. It's kind of rough. So if pathfinding mode equals targeting, and we don't actually have a reference to the object. Oh my god, fucking dog. Oh, it's unfortunate. We just ran into a thing that might be really annoying to fix. Especially in the heat with a howling dog, and I slept quite poorly because it's hot as fuck. But I have to fix the pathfinding and stuff, so... What? AoE size. So a size of 6 would be... Would that be 3 in each direction then? Yeah, it would. So then this needs to be offset. If it's not equals null, then let's go with does not equal null first. Then we just go with value. Otherwise, we're gonna go with area size divided by 2. So it needs to be a new. Because I have not implemented the Z yet. We'll deal with the Z another decade. Get X and Y functioning first, and then we look at Z values. And this is then just minus offset. Retile to. Well, what was I doing just now? Where is this? This is targeting range. This doesn't exist, does it? I'm doing if any of these, and then I'm checking if something that can never happen. What am I doing here? This is stupid. Is this meant to be targeting range? Or... And this is for doing AoEs. Dynamic grid. AoE tile to pathbind. But now here's the issue. I don't have a connection to the caster here, I think. Like the only thing I could do is just YOLO. Well, that doesn't make sense either. Pattern center point. That's TF data dot area of effect divided by 2. That's what we just did. Or it's dot AoE size. But it needs to be new. Alright, ciao, ciao. Take care. There's something here. There. Might actually need a break today. Just implementing skills. I feel like I don't need a break when I do that. But actually implementing logic and code, I do. What was I making? Shields up. So now we have an AoE info that's null. And origin size should also be null. Origin point is also null. Wait, doesn't AoE info have a size? pattern origin point. We have an origin size, and the size is determined by the pattern. It also has an AoE size, where it gets the pattern. Alright, in that case, I feel like we just need to do this, unfortunately. Oh, man, I was hoping we'd just do fun things today. Now I need to do pathfinding shit. Oh. Ugh. I'm right back. I don't really want to go for a walk. It's so hot. I'm just gonna be sweating when I get back. Raining tomorrow. And for a week forward. Maybe. Or is it failing to find my proper location? Yeah, it is. What location are you finding? It's right. This is a different... This is like... Google weather. Google weather is wrong. Maybe. Maybe it's not. It's right-ish. Basically, what we need to do here is... I need to implement a way for an AoE to just be like an area. That's just like out from the center. However large the center is, it just goes out. That's it. Instead of having to have a pattern. So that you can just say it's got a size of 5. And then it just does 5 in each direction. And that's it. And it's not doing that right now. I think I have poorly designed this, to be honest. In some ways. The way it works. Where is it? It's Pathfinder or something. I think it's here. Yeah, here. I have pathfinding data, right? And the pathfinding data has a bunch of stuff. But I made it so that the pathfinding data has a bunch of different constructors. And depending on which constructor I use, it sets the pathfinding mode on its own. And that means that, like, if the pathfinding mode is targeting, it only sets it using origin point and area of effect. And then it doesn't have an object script. It automatically gets set to targeting. But now, if I want to do this, then I'm gonna have to like set the origin point to be the object script before we send it into the pathfinding. And yeah. So I feel like this should rather be like... It should always take everything, but it should be null, like nullable. More or less. And this one, this is for ground target, specifically. But ground target is kind of like self-target. Okay. Yeah. I'll be back in a bit and then we'll try to fix this. But yeah. I'll see you soon. Oh boy. Fuck me. Once again, almost got baited by the universe. And now I'm sweaty as hell. Yeah, so my neighbor's dog that was howling, that has been howling every day, today it was a different dog. And I almost confronted her and called her a bitch on the lawn, but I didn't. I even wrote a note I was going to put into her mailbox. Turns out that day, out of all of the like literally 4 years straight that her dogs have been fucking annoying, today was the day where it wasn't the case. Like that's how it works for me. If I ever decide to do something, it fucks me over. However, I do think it was both of their dogs, because I hear the one of the dogs out in the stairwell right now, and the other dog is in the other apartment upstairs, howling right now. So it was actually two dogs howling in unison. Oh. One of the owners I can forgive because she just got the dog and she's like 85. The other one, not so much. She had the dog at home for 2 years straight. 2 years straight, and it barked every single day. And I complained 4 times about it. I even I called the municipality and reported her. And then she sent me an angry letter that I didn't talk to her about it. Even though I called the apartment company 4 times. And I don't want to talk to her. I actually did talk to her once. When she got the dog, and it had been barking for literally like 4 months straight. Because she just left it at home. And I found her sitting outside her apartment with her phone after the dog had been barking for 4 hours straight. And she told me that what she was doing was training the dog to not bark by leaving it alone for several hours straight. And like trying to teach it to be alone that way. And she said that if she goes up, then it's like the dog will win. Because, oh, now it understands that barking means that she comes back. She doesn't, like, she's a dog trainer as well. So it's even more funny. But, like, she has no clue how to actually train a dog to not bark. But she thinks she does. She thinks she does. So that dog, that was like 5 years ago, by the way. And the dog is completely destroyed. She has to, like, take it with her. Otherwise, it never stops. And now she's on vacation, so she has the dog at home while she sits outside on the lawn in the sun, and then the dog howls for 3 hours while she's outside. Ever try waking up at like 1 AM, get everything done before everyone else wakes up? Well, the issue is, I only have this one neighbor that sucks this much. And she works nights, I think. So during the day, before she gets home to go to bed, the dog is barking. So it's maybe like, I don't know, like 4 PM if forward, where it's kind of quiet-ish. I'm not even sure, like something like that. And then they wake up at midnight, and then they start yelling at each other and like slamming doors. because they just lived like they deserve to live, you know, like it's a normal day for them, even though they're awake in the middle of the night. So her son, when she's at work, he will literally be up at 3 a.m. and he will shout at the top of his lungs because he's getting owned in League of Legends or something. And he will scream like, "Oh!" and then stamp his feet in the ground and smash his keyboard. He does it all the time. Like, they're retarded, dude. It's insane. And my other neighbor, it's much better now there, but she also had a son that did that, but it was in the middle of the day instead. But that's a lot better nowadays. And I didn't even really mind that much. It's mostly the dog that barks for like 8 hours straight, constantly. Because when dogs do that, they bark constantly. So it's like either you put on your headphones and blast the volume up really hard, or it's just like you just have a dog there constantly that you can't do anything about. I had one some years back, massive relief when they moved out. Yeah, as long as you don't get another one that's bad. You know, it's pretty bad, but I don't have a lot of sanity to go around, so getting like cracking the last bit of that, it takes a lot. And yeah, I do have a lot of patience, but I also have zero patience. I have a lot of patience and zero at the same time. Like I can have a lot of patience with being annoyed, but I also get annoyed instantly. Yeah, and like I said, I have reported her so many times, like literally to the municipality. I know that the people who own the apartments, like the janitor has called her probably 4 times. I'm not the only one who's complained either. And I also know that the owner of the building has literally gone there, talked to her, told her that she has to fix this. And that's when she did for a while, but now she's on vacation and I don't know, she doesn't care. Ugh. She's such a bitch. Anyhow, now I have a headache. You know what? Let's just pop one of these. No, they don't really work though. Oh. Yeah, ibuprofen. But let's also pop this. This is better. I don't actually take ibuprofen almost at all, because I don't think it does anything. But I do have a recipe for muscle relaxants, and they help a lot, and my headaches are always, always stress-induced. I don't get a lot of headaches, though. Alright, so we need to figure out. Should I do with the AoE info? Man, changing this is going to be so much work, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Well, there's more than this, but... No, it's the pathfinding I have to change. It's... PF data. New PF data. New PF data. New PF data. Maybe it's not that bad. There aren't really that many places. YOLO? YOLO refactor? Pathfinding mode. Pathfinding mode. Object script. Area of effect. Area of effect. Target vector 3 int. Target position. Location. Target location. And this is where I think all of these should be nullable. And now we're gonna have 6 million errors. So here then we do if pf data target position and does not equal null, and pf data dot target location not equal null, and value. If movement range, movement path, movement distance. And now, targeting range. I think this will mostly just be setting the value or adding the value. It's a lot of dot values. It shouldn't really matter. Like, as long as I just set the values here, it should be the same. It's rather where we call the pathfinding that I have to change things, I think. Like that, and then we have to go here. We have to look at these. So this is init move mode, right? All it's saying is it wants current turn.unit. And now here we have to say pathfinding mode, movement range. And then pass in an object script, which isn't necessarily needed, but why not? Oh no, I am doing that. That's what I am doing there. And then we have AoE, target position, target location. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set these to null by default. Actually, pathfinding mode, targeting range. And then it needs unit, and it needs target position. Like that. I feel like this should just be an integer. AoE size. Yeah. I think I want this still. AoE size, but this should be pattern size. What's your use case for AoEs without a radius? Yeah, the actual implementation here is still a little bit of jumble. But basically, at some point I decided that even single target skills were AoEs in a way. Like it just used the same logic as an AoE did. It just targets like one tile, and then it just grabs the target that was in the tile. More or less. And then the AoE size variable is used to like determine the size to check for using the pathfinding and the targeting tool. So it just uses the same logic. So an AoE without a radius is just a single target thing or a single tile thing. What are we doing here? Movement path. So this is pathfinding mode, movement path. And then we need object script is current object. We need target position, then area of effect is going to be null, and then new location. Pathfinding mode, object script, target position, area of effect, location. And there's a comma there. That's why it's throwing a fit. This is ground targeting. Yeah. And now here the AoE size is different. But I feel like the AoE size should be different. Like we shouldn't be fetching the AoE size. This is where we fetch. Size needs to be something like if pattern does not equal null, then we use pattern size, else we're gonna say that the vector 3 size is My headache is getting worse. Yeah, we got some thunder incoming. Probably affected by that. Okay. It's just gonna be a new vector 3 int with action to trigger .aoe info dot size. Like that. Value. And that way the size will be the value of size. Okay, so if it has a pattern, then we use the pattern to determine the size. Otherwise, we just say that the size is AoE info. And then AoE bound here, use size minus offset. Wait, why is the offset here? No, it makes sense, I think. Not really. Can AoE size be null here? Is this one of those scenarios where I need to use an if-else statement because question mark colon is trash? I think so. Because I've been using this a lot because it's just nice shorthand. But I did notice once that even if this is true, it'll still evaluate this. And then if there's a null there, then it will crash. So maybe you're right. Double question mark. What is double question mark? Null coalescing. This is new. I have no clue what that means. Give me the left-hand side if it's not null, or the right-hand side if the left is null. Okay. Right. My brain. I'm just not sure. I think this is actually wrong. Kind of. So... Not necessarily. But I think it should be... I think it needs different logic depending on which we use. So I think it needs to be like this. Then we say size equals that. Else we're gonna say size equals this. But then we also have the AoE bounds. And AoE bounds, I think, should just be this here. Because the offset is the pattern center point. That's assuming that it has a center point. But it pretty much needs to... Well, I mean, not necessarily. Because no center point should be point-based AoE. Out from where the character is standing, right? So we need to do this pattern there. And then here again we say offset equals pattern center point value. Else -1 apparently. But then here, I want size to just be 1, 2, 3, 4. And it shouldn't be like 1 on each side. Or I shouldn't have to say like 2 for it to be 1 on each side. But that's kind of how it works here to some degree. So what we're going to say is if we don't have a pattern, then by default we should also not have a pattern center point. Because if it's something like a cone or anything like that, then it should have a pattern. So then here, when we determine the size here, is it guaranteed that main controller.action to trigger.aoe info.aoe size is not null here? If the pattern... Okay, so this is target type ground. So only 2 different cases should enter in here, ever. If even this, like, and that should be that you are targeting an area which is not related to a character, like lightning outside. I'm a little scared. So that should mean that in order to even arrive here, we need to have some kind of AoE info. And since it's a ground targeted AoE, that should mean that it should need to have a pattern or just have like a point and a size, right? And in that case, AoE size could be null because the pattern, if there's a pattern, then the pattern determines the size. Oh, sorry, forgot to lower the music. So if there is a pattern, we don't need an AoE size. While if we don't have a pattern, then we do need to have an AoE size. So that's kind of, it's supposed to be the pattern takes over. Otherwise, we fall back on an AoE size. But it could still be null if I forget to fill one in. But otherwise, it should have one here. And in which case, the offset should then be a runtime crash is okay if it accidentally ends up null. It's actually preferable, at least at this point, because then I know that there's a crash. Because it shouldn't crash. So if something is like incorrectly set, then the game shouldn't really keep running. Because then we just end up with undefined behavior or, you know, unwanted behavior. And I just won't know where it is. I think I might turn my computer off for a little while. It's not really that black outside, but it is thundering quite a bit, and I'm a little scared. Kib's already bought me a new computer because my old computer was messing up. So I think I'm gonna turn it off for a bit. And I might not be back today because I do need to do some writing. That's probably what's gonna happen, yeah. But we'll stream more tonight anyway. I was hoping to get more done today. But we got a little caught up in this. Anyway, thanks for hanging. Have a good day. Bye-bye.